Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to this our audition psychology webinar from Acting Coach Scotland. We believe at ACS that one of the keys to your audition success is all in your head. I'm Mark Westbrook. I'm the founder and co-principal of Acting Coach Scotland, as well as the course leader for our magnificent professional 2-year HND acting and performance course, as well as teaching on the other courses that we do here, part-time, one-to-one coaching, drama school audition coaching, and our professional diploma course. It's a 1-year Spotlight approved course that starts every year in January. We're not too far away from starting our next year. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on developing bulletproof self-confidence for auditions. If you're here because you want better auditions, then that's great. If you're here because you want better results in the auditions, that's great. If you're here because you want to boost your confidence and see success from your auditions, then you've come to the right place. Let's take a look at your session aim. So the session aim, quite simply, to learn to be proactive with your confidence prior to auditions and develop a stable sense level of self-confidence, rather than one that's affected and tossed around like a tiny life raft on the ocean, which is what we call reactive self-confidence. I just realized I've opened my chat window just in case anyone wants to say anything while they're going. So that's the session aim. We want to build proactive confidence. You're going to hear me say that more than once. Do take notes. I'm definitely going to be asking you to do all sorts of things. Let's move on. What is self-confidence? I think of all the elements of your mental skill set, confidence is the king and queen of being good at anything. It's probably the most important thing you have to have. I think it was Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right, which suggests that, an awful lot of this is also in your thinking. Self-confidence is how strongly you believe, which is a form of thought, in your ability to execute a particular skill. Why is self-confidence so crucial to success? Well, because without a healthy dose of self-confidence, you simply can't do your best. Confidence helps you quickly let go of mistakes. It helps you stay calm and composed when things do happen. Without confidence, you can't take risks. And it allows you to act assertively rather than tentatively in important situations. Confidence also helps you trust the skills you already have. If you have high self-confidence, you'll be better at auditioning. So where does this self-confidence come from? Self-confidence takes time to develop. If it is your first ballroom dancing lesson and you've got no dancing experience, this is me, 2 left feet, and you're taken into the room, you will probably not have a lot of confidence. You haven't had the time to develop it. Confidence develops over weeks, months, well, over years. Experts with years of experience tend to be very confident about what they're doing because they have all of those years of experience on which to base it. So the many years over which you practice, prep, perform, rehearse, and audition, that's where your confidence comes from. It comes from past success, past training, past coaching, past performances, past successful auditions, and you believe you can do it, and you believe you have what it takes to do it. I'm going to recap that for a second. Confidence is not about whether you can do it. It's not about whether you can do it. It's about whether you think you can do it. That's the definition within sports and performance psychology, like the ability to execute a skill, the belief in your ability to execute a skill. Now, obviously, if you have low ability, high confidence might help, but it's not going to help you get the ability to do it. So one needs to have high ability and high self-confidence too. Nonetheless, we have all, I'm sure, all of us have met someone who is high self-confidence, low ability, and somehow successful. Because people buy confidence. They don't buy pity, they buy confidence. So there are, so in today's webinar, I'm going to talk about how we can build that kind of self-confidence for auditioning. You want to boost your confidence, and once you've got it, you want it to stay where it is. Remember, proactive self-confidence is very different from reactive self-confidence. Reactive confidence comes from when something goes well. My loves, we're all confident when things go well. That's the easy part, okay? Real self-confidence is there when things don't go well. You are not shot down in flames. You are not, oh, you know, that's the end of the audition. No, 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 no. I also want you to understand what confidence killers, and we'll talk about that as well. So when we think about where confidence comes from, this is a pretty handy thing to look at. So these are the sources of audition confidence. So we just talk through them. Past success in auditions. Hey, you got the job, you start to believe that you can get the next one. It's probably something that also causes you a bit of pain because it's an assumption. But if you've got a string of successful auditions, why shouldn't you believe in yourself? That's a part of proactive, and it's somewhat reactive to success, but a trail of successes will be considered, you know, a proactive self-confidence. Obviously, if you've got a lot of audition flops, that works the opposite way. That starts to become proof to you. It's not really proof, because we know the game is stacked against you. There's 300 people went for that audition, right? 300 people went for that audition. Your chances were slim anyway. But if you have a lot of audition failure, then obviously you start to believe you can't. Having an effective audition routine. If you don't have an audition routine, then audition routine I think is something absolutely key to doing well in auditions. You know, an actual routine that you go through to build security. Positive feedback from others. Obviously, someone says, "Wow, man, that was just phenomenal." Of course you feel good, you feel confident. Supportive people, and by that I mean friends, family members, you know, etc., etc. Oh, you were really good in that last thing. Yeah, and we all need to hear that. It does build confidence. When people like your work, you know, some kind of feedback that comes back to you about how good, you know, that take was or that show was. Obviously, there's just belief in your ability. Your methods, tools, and techniques can give you confidence. Absolutely. My colleague, Nick J. Field, teaches this incredible audition monologue technique, which just takes people to a whole new world with their monologues. Really phenomenal, kind of taken what we teach here and applying it to monologues in a really successful system. He's a judge at the World Monologue Games as well. And the methods and tools that he uses to coach people to do phenomenal monologues is just, I mean, it just makes all the difference, all the absolute difference. Obviously, if you have a mental or physical warm-up routine, a lot of people are too cool for school, you know, like, oh, I don't do a routine. I don't do a routine. I don't do a warm-up. I just get up and do it. Okay, all right, fair enough. If that's bringing you success, great, good for you. Most people need to put in a bit of work, though. If you consider the audition material your type, if you don't consider this material your type, then yeah, I understand why maybe you don't have confidence. I did have a client, a very successful client in Hollywood, who got an audition and said, "But Mark, I'm just never going to get this part. This is not my kind of character." And it's irrelevant about that. Someone put you up for that. Someone believes you could. You have to follow that through for them. Okay, that's what they're out there for. Mental preparation before the audition. Part of your audition routine, mental preparation, actually putting yourself in the right headspace. I think it's a little foolish to think you can rock up, jump out of the taxi, run in, nail it, and run back out again and get in the same Uber, before the door closes. You need to have a proper mental preparation. Effective audition preparation, actually doing the work that would get you to where you need to be. Audition coaching, of course, I believe in that. That's what we do here at ACS with part of our remit. But yeah, I think a good audition coach can help take you to the next level. They can spot things you can't. They're outside of the process and they're a bit more objectivity. And some people are a little bit afraid of audition coaching. Like, what if I find out something I don't want to know? Well, that's about self-awareness, right? Do you want to change? Do you want to improve, or are you just happy kind of living in blissful ignorance? Positive rapport with the audition panel. I mean, yeah, at least, they smiled, or they say thanks a bunch, or, what they said something to you. It's always going to make you feel good and give you confidence. Good reviews of your work. Yeah, someone says, oh, that John Gray, his last show was phenomenal. Sorry, John Gray, one of my former students here in the room. Proper sleep, hydration, and nutrition. I know that's going to sound really ridiculous, but if you are dehydrated, your confidence will drop because your concentration will drop. If you had poor sleep, you are likely to not function at your best. You cannot be confident. And if you haven't eaten, look, the effects of not eating breakfast on the morning or lunch or whatever on the time of your audition, people are like, oh, it's not important. It's not important. Like, the audition's important. You're going to experience some low blood sugar. And guess what? The symptoms of low blood sugar are so similar to audition nerves that you're going to take your existing audition nerves and multiply them by not eating. So take care of those things. They seem really basic and they're more important than you realize. Many, many times I've had, I started a class with, okay, how many hours of sleep did you get? How many hours of sleep did you get? How much are you hydrated today? What did you have for breakfast? And the answer is like 5 hours and coffee. Look, fair enough every now and again, but like, if you want to do your best work, you need to come prepared. If you're comfortable with the audition environment, let's say, I think auditioning at home, self-tapes, gives you a bit more confidence because you can control the environment, right? So I think if you're comfortable, I think if I was auditioning in this building where I work, where I'm kind of, the boss, so to speak, right? Then I would feel really confident here. It's my environment. If you're not confident and comfortable with the environment, it can be a problem. What can you do? Well, you can try and visit the environment before, or at least, going on to the next one, create good transport, travel, and location plans. The last thing you want to be doing is barreling out of an Uber at 100 miles an hour, covered in sweat, puffing and panting, wheezing, reaching for your inhaler, right? As you, because you're 20 minutes late for your audition, and a lot of time, self-sabotage aside, yes, transport and travel has problems. Of course, I take a 20-minute train to get into Glasgow, and then the subway, and then walk. So I have to walk, get a train, get a subway, and then walk to work, right? Any one of those parts of the journey could be interrupted by ice, by train problems, by subway problems, et cetera, et cetera. If I've got an audition at 9 o'clock, I'm going to take the earlier train. So that I have certainty about where I'm going to be and when I'm going to be there, so that I can be confident. Obviously, if you believe the audition scene is within your skill set, if you just think it's just impossible, then it's going to be hard to have confidence. So let's ask all of you. I'm not literally asking, I'm going to ask you to do this work for yourself, right? I want you to think about your own self-confidence. We'll have a look at that list again. Pick 5 of those that you think are the top sources of your confidence, your self-confidence. Not what you would like it to be, what you actually think it is. So you're just going to pick from that. Obviously, if you've got something burning you want to put on your list that isn't on my list, hey, I don't know everything. I'm not in your head. Don't be afraid to put that down too. So a list of, let's say, the top 5 sources of your confidence, using the examples from my table, or if you've got your own. And then perhaps, you know what you could do? You could prioritize them with a number down the side. Like, is it the top one, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Have you written them in order? Or which one do you think is the most important? Hi, Jennifer Hartland. Good to see you're here as well. Justin, nice to see you. Ryan, Sky. Oh, Sky, you're here and I'm not giving you a hard time. Okay, right, okay. Do we have a list of 5 things? Probably most of them are, but one of the first things you should do is ask yourself, which of these are actually under your control? So if you've chosen, am I going the wrong way? If you've chosen positive feedback from others, that is not under your control. And therefore, your confidence is going to be reactive. Look, I'm a coach. I understand that praise is needed. Praise is an important part of knowing that you're doing a good job. And everyone, every coach should give praise where it's due. And so have a look at your list. And if any of them are technically out of your control, then you need to put a line through them. Because honestly, they are not sources of your confidence. And actually, what they're likely to do is damage your confidence. So let's hope that all 5 of them were not out of your control. Let's hope that some of them were within your control. I do think that your preparation is in your control. What other people say about you is not in your control. And it's none of your business, right? What other people think about you, none of your business. Okay, you're responsible for your thoughts, not their thoughts. I usually say that with much more swearing in it. So I've managed to control myself a little bit. Maybe because I'm recording it, I've gotten all formal or something. Look, only you're responsible for your confidence. It's called self-confidence. You can't let other people or circumstances dictate how confident you feel. Your confidence will go up and down like a little boat, right? Absolutely. The outcome of the audition is out of your control. You know what? I advise my clients, don't even sweat it. Just forget it. Because, you get a good audition and then you think about it for days because you want it, you want it, you want it. There's absolutely no point thinking about it. They'll call you back if they want to see you. Okay? I call it fire and forget, right? There are 2 types of missiles, apparently. I'm sure there's lots of missiles, but I'm, generalizing. 2 types of missiles. The laser-guided missile, kind of heat seeker, laser-guided, those kind of controlled missiles. And then the fire and forget type, where you just press the button and hope it goes in the right direction, or point it in the direction you want and hope it does something, right? Like those Katyusha rockets the Soviets had. So I think an audition is a fire and forget situation. Do your best work and then move on. Otherwise, you're just sitting around waiting. I noticed that about a competition I entered, a writing competition I entered. I was sitting around waiting for the email. Like, who was I kidding? Like, they did not immediately go, oh, Mark's entered. Let's read it and give him some feedback now. So I just get on with the stuff you've got to do. Pour your time and energy into the things you can control. The confidence resume. Okay. We in the UK call it a CV, but I like the phrase confidence resume. A confidence resume, the absolute best way to develop your confidence and be proactive about building confidence is to understand what supports and creates confidence. So one of the best tools for building confidence is a confidence resume. In other words, you create a list of accomplishments, strengths, abilities, concrete things on which you can base your success. Now, people are like, oh, you know, I don't, you know, I've done a lot of, it's not really like my thing to like boast about those things. You're not boasting. Are you kidding me? Boasting? You're not boasting. You're just reminding yourself you're good at something. So here's some questions that you might want to ask yourself. I ask you to write them down if you can as I talk through them. What are your strengths as an actor? I mean, you got to know, right? If you don't know, you need to ask someone. What have you accomplished in your acting career that you're proud of? It is okay to be proud, okay? Give yourself a fucking break. See, I told you I wouldn't be able to do it. Give yourself a fucking break. You're proud of something. It's okay to be proud of your accomplishments, okay? It's okay to be proud of your accomplishments. There's no point in playing small. It doesn't help anybody. I'm not saying you need to go around like hiring a billboard and putting your face on it and saying, that's me, John Gray, I've just got a job. Sorry, John, it's twice now. But it's okay to be proud about it, isn't it? It's okay to be like, yeah, okay, I nailed one, that's great. What can you say about your audition routine that gives you confidence? Right, audition routine. If you don't have one, you've got to have one. You need to control uncertainty. In my Audition Confidence Masterclass, which is a course that I'm teaching in 2022, we're going to spend a whole session on how to build an audition routine, like an actual plan for making sure you're in the best shape for the audition. And I think it's really important. I think it's one of the most important things you can do. What can you say about your work ethic when it comes down to audition preparation? You know, look, I think I'm a hard worker. I'm not afraid. I'm proud of being a hard worker. I'll stay up till whatever the fuck o'clock. I do not care to get something done. I think I've got a very strong work ethic, probably too much sometimes. You know, it's a blessing and a curse, like a lot of our strengths. And I'm okay telling myself, hey, you know what? You've got a damn good work ethic. You're not afraid of hard work. It's okay. Describe your work ethic. What can you say about the coaching you receive that helps you feel confident? Well, maybe you don't get coaching, or maybe you do, or maybe you take classes. What can you say about that that makes you feel confident? Other than, my teacher thinks I'm good, right? Fuck what your teacher thinks, frankly. It's got to come from in you, right? It's all right if I tell you you're a brilliant actor, but that's not going to help you. That's reactive. Makes you feel good. What can you say about your mental game that gives you confidence? What can you say about the way you think about yourself when you're doing this? I'm not talking about self-esteem. That's separate. That's different. I'm talking about, you know, your self-confidence, your motivation, your focus, you know, the absence of fear of failure, the absence of all the interferences, the psychological interferences which get in the way of you doing well. What can you say positively to put on that confidence resume? I love this one. Complete the following phrase. I am unstoppable in auditions when I have had a good night's sleep. No, well, whatever it is for you, right? You're going to finish. I'm unstoppable in auditions when I bet you've got one. You've got one. I can see Lisa saying something, right? Yeah. Hi, Lisa. So it's not big-headed. It's not proud. It's not boastful, because this is for you, right? Self-confidence is belief. Therefore, you've got to believe. You've got to think about it, right? Confidence is a lot about how you think about yourself. So building confidence involves changing how you think about yourself and how you talk to yourself. What has someone told you about your work that gives you confidence? We're gonna allow one at the end that is about someone else, just to put a little bit in there, right? Someone says to you, You know, I really love the way you can always hit a turning point beautifully in a scene, right? Okay, good. I can always hit a fucking turning point, bang on. I know I can do that. Right, let's get on with this. You've got to be able to talk nicely to yourself. You do. You've got to be able to say good things to yourself. And you've got to be able to. So when you answer these questions, you start to actually believe it's not. This is exactly what a sports psychologist or performance psychologist would do with a baseball player, soccer player, football player, cricket player, ice skater, MMA fighter, musician, fighter pilot. People who have to perform under pressure are allowed to reflect positively and remind themselves why they're good at what they do. Don't be afraid of it. You don't need to share it with anybody. It's not showing off. Now we've moved on to the greatest enemy to your self-confidence, the confidence killer itself, self-doubt. If you're going to stay confident, you must quickly act to stop self-doubt. I call self-doubt the opportunity thief. I think it creeps in and steals opportunities from you. It whispers in your ear and it says, hey, you'll never get that job. Hey, you're not good enough to do that. And the biggest shame of all is you fucking listen to it, don't you? You listen to it and you let it steal from you. I'm sorry, some of you have heard this story before. I'm going to tell you anyway. A friend of mine, she messaged me. She said, it was not an acting related job, but I want to tell you now. Look, I've been at my job for 3 months and a new job has come up and I can do it. And it'll bring me back to Glasgow, closer to my boyfriend. It's better money. It's a better job, but I've only been there 3 months. They're going to think I'm full of myself. What should I do? There's the self-doubt inherent in the question itself. People are going to think I'm full of myself. What should I do? What you should do is apply for the job. What does it cost you? It's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely that people are going to have a terrible opinion of you for trying something. And plus, I mean, don't you all have enough to get on with in your day without worrying about other people too much? Like, they'll forget you in like 20 minutes. They'll have forgotten that you've even applied. Well, she messaged me about 6 months. 6 months later, I hadn't spoken for a long time, and she's like, "Oh, I'm back in Glasgow, by the way. I got that job." Yeah, of course she did, because she was very, very qualified for that job. And self-doubt, the confidence killer, could have easily stolen that job from her, easily, if she'd listened. The way that we go about tackling the opportunity thief of self-doubt is to look it in the eye. Make a list of your self-doubts. Be aware of your self-doubts before, during, and after an audition so that you can challenge them. There are 2 types of self-doubt. There's the direct and there's the subtle. The direct sounds a lot like this. Oh my God, that was fucking terrible. I sucked. That's pretty obvious, right? But the subtle is a bit more like, I'm not sure if that director liked me. Not sure if this part was right for me. It's just eating away at your confidence very subtly. So you make a list of your self-doubts, the direct ones and the subtle ones. It's not too, is this the next one? Yep. So exercise 4 is going to be here. I've made a list of a small list of self-doubts on the left. And I want you to do this for yourself, okay? I want you to do this for yourself. I want you to imagine that's your self-doubt on the left there. I'm not sure I'm right for this role. We could all have that thought. It seems reasonable even. It's not even like I can't do it. It's just, I'm not sure I'm right for this. Okay, fair enough. You don't think you're right for it. But it is a self-doubt. Someone with bulletproof self-confidence says, I don't cast these fucking things. I'm going to let someone else do that job. I'm going to rock up and do the audition. That's self-confidence. Yeah, I don't do the casting. I'm an actor. I'm going to get on with the audition. I don't think the director likes me. I mean, it might be true, but it probably isn't. They probably don't think much of you at all if there's a lot of people that are auditioning. So they only have the experience they've had of you in life. So that might be only this audition, only this casting, or this CD, this casting director doesn't like me. I hear that quite a lot. I never quite know what doesn't like me means. I mean, like, I don't even think they don't really know you, do they? Like, do they know you? How well could they know you? What, you've been in 4 auditions and they haven't cast you? No, they didn't like. Okay, anyway. So I don't think they like me. How would we challenge that? I would say, well, this is me, so forgive my language. I would say, what the fuck am I thinking? Why am I trying to get them to like me? They gotta like my work, okay? I went and I did my work in that casting. That's my work. And if they don't like it, that's okay, that's their job. I don't want them to like me. I want my family, friends to like me. I want them to like my work. If they can also like me, that's okay. But it's not what I'm interested in. Okay, here's one that's probably just a direct one. That audition sucked. I mean, we're all capable of it, right? We all go come out of the audition, you're like, oh God, what was I doing in there? Or that just did not go how I wanted it to at all, which is a whole different issue, by the way. That's a whole different issue if it didn't go how you wanted it to. That means there's something not quite right in your preparation as far as I'm concerned. Because part of a good audition routine is to have a set of cues that lead you through your audition piece. And that you could easily think back on and think, yeah, it was that. Yeah, I got over nervous there and I missed that moment. You should be really clear about audition cues, the things that you always do when you do the piece well. Jennifer Hartland, that reminds me of your drama school audition, because we did a lot of work on audition cues all those years ago. It just came back into my head. So the person who went in before was much more suitable for the part. I actually heard this from someone auditioning for Netflix thing, right? They were much more suitable than me. Self-doubt challenge. Have I joined the casting department at Netflix? Is that my new job? Why am I worried about their casting? My job, go in that room, do my best work. Their job, decide if they want me. When you start doing their job for them, you might as well hand it in now. You might as well give up. Yeah? You might as well give up. Take your badge off or whatever they say. Take your bib off. Give up. Go home. Why are you doing the casting for them? Reminds me of a story. Some of you will have heard it if you're my students or be my students. Of someone who got everyone else's resume as part of the audition sides for auditioning, right? Auditioning for a big feature film, and what came through with the email scanned in to the PDF was everybody else's resume and headshot. We won't say what it was for. And of course, you know what that did? That totally head fucked the actor. Because they were like, oh, she went to Central and she was in The Crown. Okay, she went to RADA and oh my God, she's really good. I've seen her in lots of stuff. And you can understand, by the time you've gone through 3 or 4 resumes, you're like, okay, this is over. I'm just going to sit in here and bring them sandwiches or something, make myself useful, because there's no way I'm getting this job. It's not true. What if they love your work? What if they love your work? Are you in the casting department? If you want to work in casting, go into casting, right? Stop trying to cast it. It's just a mental defense, isn't it? It's just a way of saying, okay, if they get it and I don't, I won't be too disappointed because she was obviously much better than I was. So you make a list of your top self-doubts. You've all got them. Even confident people have some self-doubts, okay? You make a list of them and you write next to it why it's nonsense. And it is nonsense because it's just a thought. A self-doubt is just a negative thought. And most of them are there to save you from pain. I'm not sure I'm right for the role, and therefore, when I don't get the role, I'll tell myself I wasn't right for the role. I don't think the director likes me, and therefore, when I don't get the role, I'll remember that the director didn't like me. That audition sucked, and that's one way that will help me when I don't get this role. I'll know because I sucked, and I'll be able to tell myself that's okay because I sucked. When you don't get the role, the person who went in before was much more suitable, and they do get the role, you say, see, there, I never stood a chance. But it isn't helpful for your confidence. You've got to get out of that cycle of thinking. It's not helping you at all. What one of my coaches would have called stinking thinking. You don't want no stinking thinking. If you're like most people, you have an inner dialogue, which we'll call self-talk, or more frequently, because it's negative, I'll call it the inner critic. Your self-talk can either help you, I'm really ready for this audition today, or it can hurt you. I sucked at this audition today. If I'm honest, when I looked at what psychologists said about self-talk, I found that they didn't quite agree on the percentage, but let's say that most of your self-talk, at least over 70% of your self-talk, is negative. 70% of the way you talk to yourself, they reckon, is negative, which is why I call it the inner critic. Again, if confidence comes from the way that you think about your own abilities, then what you think influences what you do. So if you think confidently about auditions, then you will become more confident in auditions. But if the inner critic is letting the air out of your audition tires, what a strange metaphor, beating you up, scolding you, insulting you, speaking to you in ways that you would never accept from a friend, then it is damaging your audition confidence and we need to do something about it. If we're generally negative in our self-talk and we listen to that negative voice, the voice of the inner critic, and we take it seriously, then we're going to damage our own confidence. Well, then we need to create a counter positive self-talk, which is very funny because people are like, oh man, I do not believe in all that positive talk. I do not believe in making it happen by talking about it. I am not talking about that. Whether you believe in that stuff or not is entirely your business, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you listen to your 80% negative self-talk and you believe it and you let it affect you. So you listen to the negative self-talk, but as the moment we start talking about positive self-talk, people are like, yeah, you know, I don't really... People are really funny about it. They will gladly eviscerate themselves with negative self-talk, but ask them to come up with something positive to say, and they get all self-loathing and don't want to say positive things, as if somehow being positive is less sincere than the brutalization of the inner critic. It's not. We're just more negative than positive. That's okay. We're just more negative than positive. We're more negative because surviving as a human being requires being negative. What I mean, ancient humans looked at an animal and thought, fuck me, that looks dangerous. Or they thought, that plant looks really yummy, but it might kill me. There you go. By being negative, we survived. Every night I walk down a beautiful country lane. Now, let me be honest with you. A beautiful country lane in the morning is very beautiful and frosty and full of sheep. And every night is dark as heck. And every night that little voice says, okay, you know, Just be on your guard here. Just bear in mind, right? It's just the same old country lane as it is in the morning. I adore it in the morning, but at night, it changes because it's tweaking that part of my negative self-talk that's trying to keep me safe. And in those situations, you listen to it. So I want you to imagine you've got an audition coming up. I think that's gone too far, is it there? Yeah, okay. And I'm going to ask you to pick 5 positive things to tell yourself. Now, these are going to be general. They could be general, right? I'm going to give 5 examples, and then you're going to just write a couple down, okay? You pick 5 positive things to say to yourself about your audition or whatever. Number 1, I might say, I'm going to nail this. I mean, if you're going to have the self-talk which says, oh man, you sucked, then at least I've got to have the positive self-talk to say, I'm going to nail this. I'm going to say, this part was made for me. That's okay, isn't it? Because I'm always equally willing to say, oh, she's much better for this part than I am, and I want to join the casting department. I'm going to say, I'm going to absolutely kill the climax of my monologue. Why not? You're happy to say, oh man, you totally fucked that climax of the monologue. I'm going to leave it all in the room. I'm fully prepared. I'm well rehearsed. I'm ready to rock and roll. None of these things are egotistical. They're just about giving balance to your negative self-talk, because your negative self-talk dominates. It's good to pick one, to just pick one thing that you can say to yourself. I'm going to leave it all in the room. That's my favorite. It means you'll do your absolute best and leave yourself with nothing remaining. I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave it all in the room. The only reason it's there is to offer balance to the negative self-talk. Hear what I'm saying. None of these statements are like, I'm the best actor in the world. You're not. I'm sorry, you're not. Okay? Because it's subjective anyway. So it's better to just say something that you can believe. I'm going to leave it all in the room. And that becomes part of your audition routine. This little mantra. And every time you feel the self-doubts coming up, you block them with something you've written down, right? And you remind yourself, I'm going to leave it all in the room. I want to give you some general tips to boost confidence. It's quite a lot of them. What you think becomes your reality. If you think you're the kind of person who hates auditions, then you are thinking that into reality. If you think you're the kind of person who hates auditions, you become the kind of person who hates auditions. If you want to love auditions, you need to start thinking like a person who loves auditions. That's the kind of person who does well in auditions. I know it sounds obvious, but if you think you hate auditions, you're just going to follow that behavior. Start telling yourself, you know what? I've been a little scared of auditions in the past, but they're also pretty exciting. It's great opportunities for me. I'm going to give that a go. So many actors say they hate auditions. Of course, it's like the job interview from hell, isn't it? You don't even get to dress up in a suit and sit behind a desk. You're out there on your own while someone else is slurping on their Starbucks, sitting in front of you, you know, barely paying attention to you. And you're out there doing your best. And next, thanks very much. Next, see you next. It's your time. It's your chance to show someone your work. And a lot of times when you're not acting a lot, it's your only chance to show people your work. Start to think like a person who loves it. It's just another opportunity to show them what you can do. Don't expect yourself to perform at your best all the time. That kind of super high expectation will inevitably crush you. Because when you do make a mistake, you're like, oh man, I was going to nail this one. You'll crush your confidence. You can't be good all the time. It's okay to have the odd failure, as long as you learn from it. Don't expect yourself to knock it out of the park every time. Otherwise, you set yourself up to a fall. It's okay to not have super high expectations. But you can plan to achieve success. Put focus on how to be better at what you do rather than trying to avoid failure. If you struggle with perfectionism, by the way, I'm, again, another part of that Audition Confidence Masterclass coming up in 2022 is about dealing with perfectionists. So many of us are perfectionists. We think it's about wanting to be perfect, but actually we want to be perfect to avoid criticism, ours or other people's. So plan to make things better rather than to avoid failure. Remember, you're responsible for your own confidence. If you stumble in the first seconds of your audition, only you can let that stumble damage your confidence. It is your confidence after all. You need to bounce forward from it. Fuck it. Stop for a second if you need to. Say, I'm going to start again. By the way, I never say, can I start again, please? Because I am not a low status person. I am a fellow professional. You say, I'm just going to start again. And start again with some oomph. Is it okay if I... No, we've seen enough, thank you. Bye-bye. Confidence develops over time. Think about all you've achieved, not about the single moments of failure or perceived failure. Think about what you've achieved. I mean, some nights I'm like, okay, I got the girl in bed, my daughter, I got her in bed by 8:30. That is a miracle. I can now do some writing. Right? Say to myself, hey, you did good, Dad. You did good. Now you can do some writing. And when I fail, what time is it? 11:15. She was meant to be in bed 3 hours ago. Then do the right thing and let yourself off the hook later, okay? Expect the unexpected. Shit will happen. If you expect shit to happen, you can dodge it. If you expect it, it loses power over you when it happens because it won't surprise you. You tell yourself, things can happen. Again, in this Audition Confidence Masterclass, I'm explaining to you some ways to, well, I'll tell you one now. I mean, one of the things we do is you do your audition piece while the TV is on and there's music playing. So you're totally distracted by, put Baby Shark on. That's how, sorry to those of you who I've done this to. Put Baby Shark on and see if you can get through the audition piece. Do you know what I mean? Baby Shark, baby. Yeah, you already know, right? So what you can also do is visualize the audition going wrong. What? Visualize it? Bring it into life, coach? No. Visualize it going wrong, and then in your visualization, visualize yourself fixing it so that you know you can. Yeah? Visualize something going wrong and then visualize yourself fixing it so that you know you can. Also, control your mental images. How do you see yourself when you think of yourself in the audition? Is it you in a firing squad? Create mental pictures of yourself doing your best work. What pops in your head when you think about doing a great audition? Is it like the panel at the other end of the room, like 10 meters away from you, all on their phones, ignoring you? Because that doesn't sound like the best mental image to go with. Your priority, by the way, going into an audition with 100% proactive confidence, telling yourself the right things, doing all the right things leading up with a good audition routine, let the work speak for itself. Use your confidence resume, repeat your proactive positive self-talk, conjure up some positive mental images to put yourself in the best place. I'm not saying that confidence will get you the job, but the confident person will do better. Now, I'm really aware that I'm running out of time, but I have no desire to finish this until I'm finished, so I'm going to keep going. Pre-audition mental preparation. What could you do? Here's what to do. First, review your confidence resume. Remind yourself why you got this. Practice reframing your doubts. Oh man, that last audition was shocking. Nope, that last audition I did not do my best, but there were a number of reasons, a whole pizza pie of reasons, lots of different reasons why I didn't nail that. One of them was I was not well rested and I didn't prepare properly. Okay, that's fair, that's owning up. In your preparation, focus entirely on what you have control over. Do the prep, get there early, get off book quickly, right? Find out where the location is. Look at it on Google Maps. Look at it on Google Earth if you need to, right? So you know where you're going. 4, forget the uncontrollable factors like will they like you and all that stuff, which is garbage, which is not going to help you. On the way to the audition, maybe review some mental images. Very simple, just imagine yourself doing well in the audition. I mean, it might be ludicrous, but I almost imagine the audition panel standing up and clapping you. I mean, I know they're not going to, but it feels good to think about it, doesn't it? I feel good even thinking about it. I'm not even an actor. Remind yourself of one thing that you do particularly well, right? I can nail an ending. I'm great at the ending of a monologue, right? And tell yourself that that sentence as well. I'm going to leave it all in the room. I'm going to leave it all in the room. And lastly, one of my top tips for pre-audition mental preparation, let the audition panel do their job. Stop casting it. Remember, people buy your self-confidence. These days, lately, I've seen a lot of people, I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but they're almost trying to induce pity. They sort of announce their fears and unload their problems in auditions. That's not the way to confidence. That's not the way you get someone to pick you. No one's going to pick you out of pity. They're going to buy your confidence. Post-audition assessment. As important as the pre-audition and in audition, which obviously you take care of yourself, is the post-audition. When you finish an audition, you can truly benefit from the experience by asking yourself these 6 questions. What 2 things do you know you did well today in your audition? What did you actually do well? What are you proud of? 2 things. 1 is often easy. Search for the second one. 2, what will improve in the next audition? Now, you'll be interested because you'll be like, yeah, but it'll be a different material. Yes, but how you tackle the whole thing will be different. So what will you improve in terms of your auditioning for next time? Actually think of it. I'm going to turn up early. I'm going to turn up early. I always tell my clients to be antisocial. I say, you should be antisocial. Put your earbuds in. You're not there to make friends, are you? Because if you sit there and they're like, oh yeah, I just finished, I had a big part in this series, that series, and you're like, oh, I did not need to hear that from somebody, or I know it's a chance now. Don't be sitting in the waiting room chatting about all the stuff you've been in lately, because you'll probably lose. You'll lose because we always compare ourselves to other people negatively. Ask yourself, how are my confidence levels before, during, and after out of 10? And pick the weakest one and think about how you can improve that. 4, when were your doubts the loudest? Identify when you suffer low self-confidence the most. Some people, it's after the audition. They start to really think, oh, I screwed that up. And because you don't find out much, I can understand. 5, last 2. How well did you manage your inner critic? Were they rampant? Oh my God, John, that was the worst audition you've ever done. Is it my voice in your head, John, when I'm, oh my God, John, that was the worst audition you've ever done? How activated were you in the audition? In other words, how wound up were you? Activation is kind of like your nervousness levels. How activated? Most people should be like 70 or 80%. If you're 90 or 100, you can't do it. It won't go well. Okay, so just at the end, I want to tell you about my Audition Confidence Masterclass that's coming in 2022. It's about tackling perfectionism because we don't want to be controlled by fear. It's about overcoming negative self-talk and building positive self-confidence, much more detailed work on that. Develop a powerful pre-audition routine. We'll also talk about post-audition stuff as well. Try to remove uncertainty. That's one of the things the audition routine does. Boost your resilience. Try and bounce forward from unsuccessful auditions, and create some razor sharp audition focus, because you got to keep yourself in the. If you've ever been in an audition and you can hear your thoughts about what you're doing, like you're talking to yourself about what you're doing while you're doing it. That's not the best audition, okay? That you should be quiet in your head when you're doing your best work. This would be on the 2nd, 9th, and 23rd of February, and the 2nd of March at 8 p.m. And each session is 60 minutes. It'll be smaller. It'll be a lot more interactive, obviously, and there'll be lots more activities to interactively do. It's lots of practical tools to help you. For everyone else, it's going to be this. That's for people who didn't come to this webinar. For those of you that attended this webinar, I wanted it to be like, well, actually, Nick wanted it to be like this. And I said to him, Mr. Scrooge, it's fucking Christmas. Couldn't we do a better deal than that? And he grumbled, and we managed to get it down to this. So if this is something you'd like to do, oh, that's disappeared. Oh, that's weird. I am going to drop that link to you in the next wee while by email. If it's something you'd like to do in February, get some coaching on your mental game, I would love you to be there. I'm going to stop that right now for a second. And here we are. I'm going to